Hare Krishna. Welcome you all again to Gita Diploma course. Madhusudan Vishnu here. Thank you so much for joining live with us. It's been a wonderful journey so far. I want to congratulate you because you have covered almost more than 50% of the journey. We did complete chapter 9 yesterday, and Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. So we are halfway through. That's wonderful, and we wish and we pray and we request you that yes, the remaining half also you should continue, complete it, and then with the quizzes done, your certificate will be issued to you, Gita Diploma. So we'll begin today's journey, a new chapter, chapter 10, with prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Actually, many people say that with the completion of chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita is so complete, because what message Krishna wants to give to Arjuna, he has kind of given everything. And they say then the remaining 9 chapters is revision, but not exactly the same. It's a more deeper study of what has already been discussed before, plus some new concepts are added. And at the end, in chapter 18, then Lord Krishna is going to conclude the Gita in the same way, the way he concluded it in chapter 9. So with this new set of chapters that begins a new kind of Arjuna's approach, towards understanding Gita, towards asking questions, because Arjuna is somewhat now changed. Earlier, he was a totally ignorant person, completely confused in life. But now he has heard a lot, realized a lot, also came to know it was his mistake to decide to not fight. But then still there are some confusions, and he's also going to benefit us by asking lots of other questions. So a quick look at what we discussed in chapter 9 yesterday. It was a very sweet chapter, right? That Krishna told Arjuna about his different energies, and the most confidential message was given in that chapter. So in first 3 verses, we came to know this knowledge that Lord gave in chapter 9 was the king of all knowledge. Then the relationship of God with this world was explained. After that, Lord Krishna explained about different types of worshippers, those people who do not believe in God at all, those who think that he's an ordinary human, then those who consider him to be the supreme Lord, then those who worship him in an abstract form, in many forms, as the universe. And then at the end, he speaks about the greatness and sweetness of devotion to Krishna. As we mentioned last time, that Lord Krishna has been telling to Arjuna again and again, same instruction, that you should remember me always, think of me always, meditate upon me. At the same time, Lord Krishna is also telling Arjuna to fight. So this has put Arjuna into a kind of confusion, like, how do I do 2 things together? For meditation, you need to sit at one place, close your eyes, go deep into your thoughts, and enter into the mind and bring that form of object of meditation into your mind. Stay on it. And the other thing is that you open your eyes, be connected to the world, you fight. How to put both of them together? Like, it doesn't seem like possible. So here in this chapter, Krishna is going to teach Arjuna a new form of meditation, a meditation that you do with open eyes, not closed eyes. So this is called open-eyed meditation, which is something interesting, because for that you can do it 24 hours a day, anywhere, anytime. So that's the art that he will teach today. The most essential instruction, how to apply in our day-to-day practical life. And how does Krishna do that? He does that by teaching something known as vibhutis, to Arjuna. The chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means God's opulence, God's greatness, how we can see that in the world around us, and through that remember God, which means God may not be always present in front of you, but whatever is present in front of you, you can relate it or know its relationship with God, and in that way remember God. That's what we are going to learn today. So I love this chapter because it's very, very practical, useful in that sense. It begins with Lord Krishna's statement, Bhuya eva mahabaho shino me paramam vachaha yatteham priyamanaya bhakshyami hitakamyaya. So he's saying, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my very dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Now, just in the previous chapter, he said, that's the best knowledge. Now he's telling, this is better than before. Sounds like a little confusing. Best and then better than best. So, well, yes, that is the best, but this is considered better because this chapter will help us to love Krishna more. That chapter taught us loving Krishna. This chapter helps us to love him more, or basically helps us to love him. The how of love is taught in this chapter. That's why, in that sense, it's called a better chapter, a better knowledge. And Krishna is saying, I'm going to speak to you, Arjuna, for your benefit. Hit kamyaya. Because you're my friend, I think about you. I wish you well. So for your benefit, I'm going to speak this knowledge. Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend. Arjuna is Krishna's intimate friend. And Arjuna is going to soon realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when you know someone closely and you like that person, the more you come to know about the greatness of that person, the powers of that person, the more you become influenced by that person and you want to share that with others also. You see, my friend is such a great person. My friend is so. So that's how, when you know about people's greatness, good qualities, you'll love that person more. And this chapter helps us to do that, to know Krishna more, to know about his greatness more. A quick lesson before we go to the next verse, nice lesson for our life. There are different types of friendship. Yes or no? I'm sure you agree with that. There are different types of friendship. That friend who always wants to benefit us and desires that we should get happiness is called, in Sanskrita, Suhrita. He always thinks about our interest. Krishna is such a well-wishing friend of Arjuna, and all of us too. It's very difficult to get such a friend in your life. Topic is not of that, that's why we are not discussing much in detail. But there's not just one type of friend. There are 4 types of friends. In Sanskrit, we have 4 different names or words for that. Suhrit, Sakha, Mitra, Bandhu. Of these 4, Suhrit is the best. Suhrit is someone who always wishes you well, always wants your best. That's called Suhrit. So Krishna is being Suhrit of Arjuna here, the best friend forever. Then Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Na me viduhu suraganaha prabhavam na maharsyaha. No one knows me, Arjuna, neither my origin nor my opulences. So then Arjuna says, no one knows you, Krishna? Krishna, no one. Then what about the demigods? They also don't know you? And Krishna says, no. I hope by now you know who the demigods are. Demigods are semi-gods. They are not really gods, but they have more powers than humans. They control the human affairs, the universe, and that's why we respect them. Then Arjuna says, okay, the demigods don't know you, but what about the great sages? They are quite spiritually developed. Krishna, no, even they don't know me. Why is that they don't know Krishna? Why? Because then Krishna says to Arjuna, because I am the source of all. Everyone comes from me. Now, if someone comes from you, how can that person know you fully? Because that person has come after you. So Krishna is saying, how can they know me completely? They have come from me. I am their source. And then Arjuna asks this question, do you also have a source? Like, that logic. If something is created by someone, then that person also should be created by someone. And then the chain continues on and on and on. So Arjuna is saying, you are the source of all this. Do you also have a source? And Krishna says, I am unborn and beginningless. One who knows this knows all. So we have a question coming for you. Uh, Wait a second. Yeah, a very simple question. Are all the scientists atheists? Yes or no? Are all the scientists atheists? No, right? Definitely no. There are some who are, and there are some who are not. So the scientists, they can be divided in two categories. One of the group is called creationist, and the other group is called evolutionist. Creationists are those scientists who accept that this whole universe was created by a god or creator. And evolutionists are those scientists who think that there is no creator, there is no god, everything is created by the nature. With time, one thing has evolved from the other thing. That's all. An example of that is Darwin's theory of evolution. One species came from another species, like that. So those who are creationists, they do believe there is a God, but those who are evolutionists, they don't believe that there is a God. They don't accept God. However, from Gita we come to know Krishna is saying, "I am that supreme Lord." So does it mean now that the supreme Lord also has a source? Uh, we'll understand that through this example. Very simple example. I'm sure you must have seen a train or traveled in a train also, perhaps. Now, I'm going to ask you very simple questions. It may sound a little too simple, but then we are trying to make a point. Look at this train. It has one engine and three coaches. Now, if I ask you a question, what is what is pulling this coach? The last coach you see. What is pulling this coach? Engine. Uh-huh. Really? Is it the engine that's pulling this coach? I'm asking the last coach, the last one. Immediately, if you look at this coach, what is the thing that is pulling this coach? Okay, some of you answered it correctly. The coach before that, right? The last coach is being pulled by the coach before it, previous to it, which is the second coach, isn't it? So the third one is being pulled by the second. Now, what about this? The second one. The second one is being pulled by the one before, the previous. And the first one is being pulled by the engine, isn't it? Right? So the logic is each coach is being pulled by the coach before, the third by the second by the first, and the first by the engine. But if I ask now, what is pulling the engine? Will you say the coach before? Something before the engine is pulling the engine? What is pulling the engine? The engine itself. The engine is generating the energy, right? The energy is being generated within the engine, and that energy is helping the engine to move forward. There's no coach in front of the engine pulling the engine, which means the logic that every coach is being pulled by the coach before applies only to the coaches behind the engine. But the engine, it is more independent. It functions on its own. It has its own uh, facility of generating the energy. Likewise, everything is created by God. But when you come across a full stop, that after this there is no creator, after this there is no beginning, no source, that full stop is called God. Therefore, the definition of the word God is that He made everything, but no one made Him. That's why He's called God. And Arjuna is still little, taken aback that how the great sages also not know you. So he's asking, but these great personalities have great qualities. And Krishna says, it is true, but all the various qualities that anyone have, good qualities also, they all come by me. I have made those qualities. So how can someone know me by those qualities? Because I have made those qualities. And Arjuna says, the great sages, what about them? But I'm still not able to comprehend. And then Lord Krishna says, everyone, whoever you are thinking about, the personalities who are the in charge at different levels of the universe, all the great personalities, they also cannot know me completely. So then he talks about 7 great sages known as Sapta Rishis, 14 Manus, and 4 Chatus Kumar, the most young adults. Yeah. So then Lord Krishna says, one who factually knows these opulences about me is always connected to me. That's the knowledge given by Lord Krishna. That no one knows him, even the demigods don't know him, sages don't know him. By good qualities alone, you can't know him. And when you know about his opulences or greatness, then you become connected to him. With that, then we go to the next section of this chapter. Very interesting. It's called Chatushloki Gita. Now you can see the picture of a zip file here. This is a computer zip file. I'm sure most of you might know what a zip file is. That you put lots of files and folders together in one folder, and then you compress it. So you zip it. When you uncompress it or unzip it, then all those files then come out. So just like we have this facility of zipping in information and zipping out information, in the scriptures also, the writers, the great writers, they summarize the whole scripture and zip it into a small, easy to remember, memorize verses set. So for Bhagavad Gita also, there is a zip folder, which is basically the entire message of Gita compressed in few verses. And that is called Chatushloki Gita. There's something similar for Bhagavatam, known as Chatushloki Bhagavatam, where all the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam are zipped or compressed into just 4 verses. And here all the 700 verses of Gita are compressed into just 4 verses. So what are those 4 verses? And what is the message behind them? That we will understand with this very interesting short story. Like there was a rich person, a millionaire, who had a son. And that son one day left the house in one of his favorite cars. On the road, that son then meets an accident. And this accident has happened far, far away from the hometown, in a different state, hundreds of miles away. So when the son meets this accident, he enters into a critical state, and there's a big damage to his memory power. So he has almost forgotten everything, doesn't remember anything. In that situation, when people take him to the hospital and he gets back to senses, he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know who his parents are. And if the people also ask him, he doesn't have any answer. So now he starts to live all by himself, struggling, trying to earn some money, managing food, all that stuff. But the father and the mother are still very concerned. Where is our child? Where did he go? We are missing him. The boy has forgotten them. They have not forgotten him. The boy has forgotten them because of his helpless situation, and they don't know about his helpless situation. So, in that case, the father wants to find the son back. What he will do is send someone to look out for his son, search for his son, right? Isn't it? Hmm? So, if I now ask you this question, in such a situation when the boy is lost and the parent wants to get that boy back home, what will be the steps that the parents have to take to bring the child back home? Also, the child should get back his memory that he is the son of such and such parent, he does such and such thing. So, what are the three steps that the parents have to follow in order to get back that child? Think about it. It's not very complicated question. Okay, if you cannot answer the three steps, tell me the answer to the first step. What is the first thing to be done to bring that child back to home? You don't know where your child is. All right, contact helpline, inform about the lost son, put out flyers, search for him. Yes, thank you. The first step, as I also mentioned before, is you search him out. Find out where is he located. He cannot find you, but you can find or try to find him. So where is he located? Which city, which state, which locality? Now, after you have found the location of that person, the next thing is you arrange for a treatment of that person so that that person gets cured mentally, completely normal. And after that, only that son can come back home and remain the way he was before leaving the house, right? These are the three steps: search, cure, return. Find out, cure the person, and get that person back. Now, this story is very similar to our story, our journey in this world. We are like that lost son of God, Krishna, Bhagavan. And we are roaming around, wandering around in this world, going from one place to another, getting different kinds of experiences. During that phase, then we get some people in our life who help us to understand what's the real goal of life, which is like the treatment process, the cure. And then finally, we also would get a chance when become completely purified to return to home, to return to God's kingdom and live one's own real life. So this all knowledge is given in these four verses known as Chatushloki Gita. So the first verse, second, third, and fourth, they talk about different subjects. The first verse is Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. And that talks about Sambandha Gyan. And this is a little technical information, so please pay attention if you want to understand it well. So there are three types of knowledge: Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, and Prayojan Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means knowledge of relationship between two things or two objects. Abhideya Gyan means now you know the relationship, but the relationship has failed, so you have to revive that relationship. And Prayojan Gyan is you are working towards revival of the relationship, and now the relationship has been revived completely, and now you are enjoying the fruits, the benefits of that relationship. So these three knowledges or types of knowledge are completely scattered across all the different scriptures. All the scriptures have these three topics only: Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. And in Bhagavad Gita, you find that explained all of that in just four verses. Like the first verse, as I mentioned, is Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha, 10.8, and talks about Sambandha Gyan. What is my relationship with Krishna? What is Krishna's relationship with this world? What is the world's relationship with me? Next, verse is 10.9. It talks about Abhideya Gyan. Mat chitta madgat prana bodhayanta parasparam. Which means we have lost our relationship with God. We have lost our connection with God. But we can revive it. We can get it back by engaging in certain activities, doing some kind of practices. And finally, the goal is achieved. That's called prayojana. And in prayojana, what happens? It's given in 10.10. Tesham satajayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. That in that section, it's mentioned that you take complete shelter of the Lord and depend on the Lord for all kinds of success, happiness, etc. The Lord helps you, guides you now because you are at the level of loving God. So He helps you personally in many ways. So these are the subjects discussed in Chatushlok Gita, and then we begin with the new section, which is Arjuna's statement. He heard Chatushloki. Now, so far Arjuna has heard a lot from Krishna, but nowhere Arjuna has given his verdict or his review, his conclusion that, all right, whatever you say is correct, or maybe this is wrong, that is correct. So far, he has refrained from giving any such conclusion. But here, Arjuna is giving a conclusion of what he has heard so far. And what is his conclusion? He says to Lord Krishna, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. So many qualities for absolute personality of Godhead. And after speaking this, when he stopped, Lord Krishna asked Arjuna, do you accept that seriously, whatever you just said now? Or you are just saying so because you're my friend? So Arjuna says, well, it's not just me who speaks like that. Even great sages such as Narada and Vyasa, they confirm this about you. So we want to know from you now. Okay, we already mentioned actually. I'm sorry. So there are four sages who know, who also Arjuna mentioned: Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa. These personalities also know you, Krishna, as Supreme Personality of God. And then he says, and finally, you yourself are telling me that you are the Supreme Lord. So I know it. You are telling me. All the great sages tell the same thing. So I accept it, that you are Supreme Lord. I don't accept half of it. I accept everything seriously. And then Krishna says, so you accept everything, Arjuna? And Arjuna says, yes, I accept everything. Whatever you said, that's correct. Quick lesson. Spiritual life is scientific. And to progress in it, we have to understand and follow all the formula of this science. Then spiritual success is sure to come. So now Arjuna makes a request to Krishna that because you told me you are the source of everything, and also because of his personal interest to see the opulences of Krishna, Arjuna says, Katham vidyamaham yogins tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. Very nice verse with a lot of meaning. Arjuna is asking three questions in just one verse. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? Three questions is asked. First, how shall I constantly think of you? Second, how shall I know you? And third, in what different forms can you be remembered or worshipped? So this is like changing your question from how to why, or from why to how. Not that why this, why that, how. we'll have this lesson at the end. As we make progress in our spiritual life, as our attitude changes towards spiritual life, our spiritual understanding develops, then we know what is right and wrong. We even know why it is right, why it is wrong, but we don't have the strength to do what is right? Isn't it? So here Arjuna is asking Krishna, not why should I remember you. He's asking, I agree with you. I understand. I should remember you, but then now I want to know how should I remember you. So we'll discuss this lesson later. It's a very nice lesson. So then I just say, but Krishna says, haven't I already said that all things are my opulent expansions? Why do you want to know more in detail? I already said that everything is coming from me, all are my expansions. And Arjuna says, again, please describe in detail. I have become greedy to hear from you. So Lord Krishna says, okay, I will tell you, but only those who are prominent. My opulence is limitless. Krishna's opulence or God's opulence has no limits. So if the Lord wants to speak about his opulences, it can take 18 days, it can take 18 months, it can also take 18 years, and much more than that. So he's saying, for you, Arjuna, I'll just list out the best, the most prominent opulence. So a quick lesson, very nice lesson, as I mentioned. Arjuna's questions are changing from why to how type. When a person progressing in spiritual life receives the orders of the Lord and Guru, he should ask how to do it instead of why do it. Very powerful lesson. The next section is Lord Krishna beginning to describe his vibhutis or greatness or powers or opulences. So he says, Aham Atma Gulakesha Sarvabhuta Shayasthitaha Aham Adishya Madhyangcha Bhutanamanta Evacha. I am the super soul of Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. So he says, first opulence or first vibhuti, I am the super soul, seated in the heart of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Isn't that a very great quality of the Lord? That just by being in one place, he's able to be everywhere. Just by being in one place, he's be able to penetrate into the hearts of everyone. So that's greatness. Who can do that? Like be present everywhere simultaneously, or be in the heart of all the living entities, know all their desires, all their thoughts, everything that they did not share with anyone else. The Lord only can do that. And that's why he's called the Supreme Lord. He has such ability. Now here we have a quick exercise. How many types of avatar are there? We have discussed this before, isn't it? Yes, the answer is six. There are six types of avatar. There are many avatars, innumerable avatars, but the type category is six. So out of those six types, there is one known as Purusha avatar. If you remember from chapter 4, Purusha avatar. This avatar of Lord Krishna is a very special avatar, which does a very special job, which is what? Which is to create the world, the material world. So there are three types of Purusha avatars, as you can also look at the painting being shown in the slide. One is known as Karno Dakshinai Vishnu, the other is known as Garbho Dakshinai Vishnu, and the other is known as Shiro Dakshinai Vishnu. Three Vishnus, yes. And these three Vishnus, they do the seva or work of three super souls. Interesting, isn't it? There's not just one super soul. There are three types or different super souls. who have different regions of influence or witnessing activities. So Brahmaji, Lord Brahma, is the most powerful. And then we have Karanadakshay Vishnu, who is the super soul of the entire material creation. After the entire material creation is done, as you can see in the picture here, I'll just go back. Like here, you can see so many universes are coming out from the body of Lord Vishnu. So he is called Karanadaksha, and he's the super soul for the entire material creation. Then the next is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from whose navel Brahmaji is coming, and Mother Lakshmi is massaging his feet. And he is the super soul for one universe. And finally, we have Kshirodaksha Vishnu, whom we generally call as Paramatma or Lord Vishnu in the heart. And he lives in the heart of the living entity, in every living entity, is known as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So Lord Krishna says, I am the source of them. They are my opulences. First opulence of Lord Krishna. Second, Aditya Namaham Vishnu. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. That is the next opulence. Now, there is a certain way of understanding these different opulences. Like here it says, of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. So Aditya here is a category. There are many Adityas. And of all those Adityas, this Aditya, known as Vishnu, or is an incarnation of Vishnu, is the best. So what is the Lord trying to do? How is he teaching it here? He takes a category, and within that category he finds the best. And then he says that of the dash, this I am Vishnu dash. So of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. That's how we understand. So the next one, Vishnu, is the Krishna's representative. I hope it's clear. In the similar function, all the other vibhutis are mentioned. Two types are there, so there's one type. Of dash, I am dash, like giving an example. Of stars, I am a particular star, known as moon. Of the demigods, I am Indra. Of the mountains, I am Meru. Of the trees, I am Ashwatha. Of the cows, I am Surabhi. Of the rivers, I am Ganga. The best in that category. And then he goes to further explain the whole list, where you are going to help us identify of either the category or the representative. Okay, so be quick. We are going to start. There are lots of questions in this, and you have to quickly answer them. So the first one is, the broad category is that of dash I am Samaveda. So what's the answer to that? You don't have to look into the book. You can use little common sense. Yeah, thank you. The answer is Vedas. Of the Vedas, I am Samaveda. Very good. Next question. Of elephants, I am of elephants, I am which specific elephant? Yes, Airavata. Of the water bodies, I am the different water bodies like lake, pond, river, sea, ocean. Of the water bodies, I am ocean. Correct. Next, of dash, I am monarch. This is easy. This is very simple. Of dash, I am monarch. Of Ganges, of crocodile. No. Of rulers, we are close, not exactly same. Of humans, I am monarch. Next, of the Rudras, I am Shiva. Very good. Of the weapons, I am. So today your response is coming pretty slow. So of the weapons, I am Vajra, the weapon of Indra. Of the fishes, I am shark. Of dash, I am Brahma. Of the creators, I am Brahma. Of the vibrations, I am Om. And of the beasts, I am lion. Of the great sages, Deva Rishis, I am. Okay, you can try this out. It's very simple. Of the great sages, I am whom? Of the great sages, I am Narada. And finally, of dash, I am Garuda, which is of the birds, I am Garuda. Okay. So in this way, Lord explained his vibhutis at length to Arjuna. It's mentioned he gave examples 82 in number to explain the topic of vibhuti yoga to Arjuna. And after that, the Lord says, Na antosti mama divyanam. He says, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Right? Lord Krishna did not have time to give the list of the entire opulences. So he just selected some and he spoke at length. So I say, oh, I wish to hear some more. And then Lord says, okay, fine, I'll give you another sutra. Knowing that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So he's telling Arjuna, anywhere you see opulence, anywhere you see beauty, anywhere you see victory, anywhere you see glory, then you should know all that is coming because of the Lord's presence in the form of a spark or as a spark of his splendor. It's coming from the Lord. Okay, now we'll do a very interesting exercise. Please identify this personality. Please identify this personality. What's his name? Laurel? No. He's a very famous comedian. Of course, he's not existing anymore. Charlie Chaplin. Yes, Charlie Chaplin. Correct. So Charlie Chaplin was known for what? Charlie Chaplin was known for his humor. He made people laugh, isn't it? And he was known for his humor. So how now do we see Charlie Chaplin's humor from the perspective of what we learn in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10? That his humor or his comedy comes from Krishna, right? Like Krishna said, no, all the beauty, all the strength, all the opulence comes from me. So this is an example of that. Next, identify this personality. Easy again. Einstein, correct. And what is Einstein popular for? For his brain. Genius. Like people say sometimes, he's an Einstein, or he's Einstein, he's genius. So he had a special brain. Where did that brain come from? From Krishna. And here finally, when you look at this picture, what comes to your mind? Which quality? Yes, it is true. These are fruits and they're berries. But what exactly? When you look at this, juicy, okay, very good, tasty, healthy, sweet. Yeah, it is true. But uh, that all is true. And there's another quality also that you see, freshness. The fruits here, they look so fresh, farm fresh, right? So that freshness of the fruit is also coming from Krishna. And finally, this example, horse, correct? What is the horse known for? Speed, thunderbolts, beauty, power, strength. What is the horse known for? Dashing. Okay, the horse is known for its elegance also. And this elegance, which attracts our mind, is also coming from Lord Shri Krishna. So then the Lord concludes this chapter and says, Atava bahunaitena kim gyate natavajuna vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekanshena sthito jagat. He says, Arjuna, what is the use of all this detailed information? I am telling you one thing, just remember that by my one amsha, ekamshena sthito jagat, just by my one amsha, one part of my entire being, a fragrance, this one whole universe is being maintained. That's Krishna's opulence or greatness. Just by one tiny single fragment of himself is maintaining the whole universe. Hmm? So this was the end to chapter 10. Now before we go, just want to give you a very interesting piece of information that this universe may sound to be very small and seem to be very small, but it's pretty huge. It, how big is the universe? And all those details about the size and other stuff are mentioned elsewhere, but here we're going to show you that this universe is these many miles in diameter, which is how much? Huge number, right? And Lord Krishna says that such a huge universe is being maintained by my one tiny single fragment. That's his greatness or opulence. So we stop here. You can start sending your questions. Again, please remain on the topic. Don't go outside. Ask questions relevant for the topic. Vibhuti Yoga, the chapter name is Vibhuti Yoga, the yoga of knowledge of opulence. And it sets our vision correct. It's about Krishna, but it sets our vision correct. 5 lessons to take home. Open night meditation. I hope you still remember we discussed that Krishna wanted to teach Arjuna how to meditate is keeping your eyes open. So that's what we learn in this chapter. How to see everything in relationship with Krishna. What should be our attitude while we see anything. Next, how great is God? How interesting it is. You see, the Lord says that He's not known by the demigods, by the sages. And Arjuna is going down to Him. He's saying, You are the Supreme Lord. So Shilpad used to say that we have to understand both the things. God is great, first of all, yes. And second, how great is He? That is the second thing that we should know. Third, give mercy to get it, which means you share. Which means what? Actually, you see from this chapter, Arjuna has started asking questions which are not completely relevant for himself, but also for the wider audience. So Arjuna is understanding one principle that if you want to share something or if you have something good, you must share it. And when you share it, then it increases with you also. So it's nice that one should give the mercy to others to get it, or give the knowledge of Gita to others to get it. Fourth, learn from the best. Mhm. Learn from the best means any stream, any field, any university you study in, any study you take, there is someone who is best at it or better than you at it. If you want to also learn in their amidst and make progress and not drop, then you can choose and learn from them properly so that you understand fully. Like for Gita, who is the best student of Gita? It's Arjuna. He heard it directly from Lord Krishna. So if we also have to understand Bhagavad Gita, we would like to understand it the way Arjuna has understood. And finally, see God connection. So important. Everything we see, everything we hear, everything we do, touch, we should be able to see God's connection with that, His relationship with that. And that's called being Krishna conscious, or being conscious of God, being conscious of Guru all the time. Mm. Strength. Fine. So now before we take questions, we'll quickly look at the chapter at a glance. First 7 verses talk about Krishna as the source of all. The next verses talk about Chatushloki Gita. Then verses 12 to 18 talk about Arjuna accepts Krishna's supremacy. And 19 to 42, Lord Krishna describes his vibhutis. So we can start taking questions, if any. Okay, time for questions. Dear audience, if you have any questions from today's session, please start sending it to us. First question. Amritaji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please explain the meaning of Adityas in the phrase Aditya Namaham Vishnu. All right. So see, there is a lady whose name is Aditi, a divine celestial being. So this Aditi, she had 12 sons, and because they are born of Aditi, they are known as Adityas. I hope you are able to understand. Sons of Aditi are known as Adityas. And there are different Adityas, there are 12, but out of those 12 Adityas, one Aditya is Vamandev, and that Vamandev is Lord Vishnu. So he's the best Aditya, or the most powerful Aditya. Therefore, here we come to hear that of Adityas I am Vishnu. James team, for those that worship the demigods, do they ever come back to this material world? Or is the demigod worship like a Christian purgatory and then they go to God after? No, they have to come back again to this material world. They cannot go directly. They have to come back to material world, practice, and then they can go to God. So it's little different. They are not permanently staying there. They are not also staying there for a very long time. They go there for a visit, short visit, relatively short visit, and then they come back to planet Earth, take birth again. Next question. Kurukshetra. Who is the first demigod created by Lord Krishna? Lord Brahma. That's the first demigod. Is seeing Krishna as a conjugal lover in this Kali Yuga wrong? No, it's not wrong. We can see Krishna as a friend, as a parent, as a child, as a master, or also as a lover, as you said, or conjugal lover. One can see Lord Krishna like that. Is Lord Shiva a demigod? We explained this before in some other session also. He is also and he is not also, both ways. So we don't have time to explain how, but he is a demigod in one sense and he's also not a demigod. Ankitaji. Prabhuji, in Devi Bhagavad it said that Devi is the supreme of all. And from her many universes are created, then how is this true? Yeah, you may find sometimes little contradicting information in the scriptures. But then why it is there? Because please try to understand Vyasadeva, he wrote down different scriptures for different kinds of audience. Some audience are not ready for very high level of knowledge. They are ready for a lower level of knowledge. So different ways the scriptures were written to guide or instruct different kinds of people. That's why sometimes there are some differences, but it doesn't mean that everything is right or everything is wrong. It's just that the knowledge is being given not completely or completely based on the level of the student in front. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the last compilation of Vyasadeva. He has compiled all the other Puranas as well. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, he again gives a definition of God. And from that, we understand this is the highest or the best definition of God. And this is the best way of worshipping God. Okay, next question. What does the meaning of I am the super soul? Very simple. The Lord is speaking that He is the super soul, which means He lives in the heart of all the living entities and witnesses their actions, their desires, their thoughts. Okay, what is the next question? How to make understand to this atheist about Lord Krishna? Okay. See, when it comes to talking to atheists, people who don't believe in God, you cannot always explain to them because they may not want to accept what you're trying to say. So you try to explain to them a little bit. If you see they are very closed, they don't want to listen, they don't want to change their attitude, their thinking, mentality, then you keep distance from them and you don't try to spend more time with them because it's waste of time. That person may not change at all, right? Next question. Please explain the from why to how. Okay, nice, very good. So what we're trying to say is that you see, when we are new in spiritual life, our questions are more of why type. Why I should do this, why I can't do that, why he is doing that, why she is doing that, what happens by doing this. So our questions are like that because we don't have faith, we don't have understanding, we don't have experience. But as we grow in spiritual life, then our questions are not more of why, because we already know this is all correct, this is how it should be, this is what I am supposed to do. But we lack or we fail in doing it, right? So then the next step is now you want to know how to do it. Krishna told Arjuna, you should remember me. So now he has to understand, right, how to remember. So the the approach has to shift from why to how. It happens naturally. Now you trust, and now you want to work on those instructions, execute practically. Next question. Kashyap ji, how can we differentiate between demigods and God? It's given in the scriptures. On that basis, we differentiate. It's given in the scriptures who is a devata, who is an upadevata, who is the supreme Bhagavan. So from scriptures we come to know. It's very easy. Like Lord Krishna is telling here in Gita very clearly, I am the Supreme Lord. All are subordinate to me. There are many such verses. Okay, next question. What are the first five creations of God? Spirit is first creation, or the intellect from which the elements created. Actually, the question which you're asking, I don't know in what context you are asking this question. Five creations of God. I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand from where you picked that up. I never mentioned anything like five creations. Next question. Okay, we have this question also. Is seeing Lord Shiva as a great devotee of Lord Krishna and praying him that he let me also develop that much meditation on Lord Shiva, is that okay to pray to him? Yeah, it's okay, totally okay to pray to him like that. Next question. Could you explain more on open-eyed meditation? Thank you. See, open-eyed meditation means you are functioning in the society as a normal person, doing your basic things every day that you're supposed to do. Like Arjuna, you're supposed to fight, look at enemies, shoot arrows, kill them, turn around, do so many things. But that doesn't mean that while doing that we have to forget Krishna or God, or we cannot remember God. That's not what. It's not like that. You can still remember God. Now for them, that was the way. Right? You remember God. For Arjuna, it's been explained. You look at these soldiers, you look their opulences, their power, remember me. For us also, by understanding that everything that I see around me has a relationship with God, isn't it? Everything is coming from God, so has a relationship with God. So understanding that everything has a relationship with God, I remember God. That's meditation, open-eyed meditation. Thank you. Last question for today. Dorothy, yesterday's chapter, Lord Krishna says he causes everything. If he causes everything, then how are we responsible for the karma? Very nice question. This topic has come a little bit before. Lord is responsible, it's true, for everything. And uh, we are also responsible to some extent for everything that's happening in our life. The nature is also responsible for everything. So it's explained like this: I ask or I desire, the Lord sanctions or gives permission, and the material nature makes the arrangement for that thing to happen. Putting all three together, an action gets performed. So is the God not doing? He also is doing, he's playing a role. Am I also not doing? I'm also doing, I'm also playing a role. Is the nature not helping? The nature is also doing. The nature is also playing a role, right? So he is responsible, no doubt. Doesn't mean that we are not responsible for our karma. We also are responsible for our karma. So when he says he is responsible for everything, which means that he has control over everything and he can check everything. But at the same time, he doesn't do that because he has given us freedom to use our life the way we like, but then the consequences are also experienced or faced by us, right? Okay, it's a more detailed subject to be discussed. Now, I can request you that these are some of the topics which you're bringing up require detailed explanation. It takes time to discuss them. So you please find other lectures of Bhagavad Gita from different speakers. Even myself has given on verses, and then you can go through that and clarify those doubts, like three kinds of doers and who does what, who is responsible for it. Then you understand more in depth. In Gita Diploma course, we don't get time to go into every single verse and the depth of every single verse. The course has its limitations, right? So we'll stop here. And thank you so much once again for connecting. We'll see you tomorrow for the next chapter. Hare Krishna.